Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
I am Bailey Adams, and for nearly a decade, I poured my heart and soul into the Ashwood Cultural Center. It was more than just a job, it was my passion. I curated lectures, art exhibitions, and local performances, striving to create a vibrant, respectful space for our community to gather and learn. Our events were generally well attended and appreciated, but there was one persistent shadow that loomed over almost every public gathering: Felix Rivers. Felix was a fixture in town, known more for his loud opinions and dubious sense of humor than for any actual contribution. His particular brand of annoyance manifested as a singular, disruptive joke he'd shout at nearly every event. Mid-lecture on ancient history, during a quiet poetry reading, even at a solemn memorial, his booming voice would cut through the respectful silence. "When's the marathon of mediocre mime?" He'd then chuckle to himself, convinced he was the height of comedic genius, referencing a poorly received mime festival we'd hosted years ago. It wasn't funny then, and after the 1,000th time, it was positively enraging. It didn't just annoy me, it ruined the experience for dozens, sometimes hundreds of our patrons. For years, I tried reasoning with him, politely asking him to desist, even having him removed a few times. But he'd always return, smug as ever. I fantasized about telling him off, but that would only dignify his actions. No, I needed something profound, something that would not only silence him but make him regret every single syllable he'd ever uttered in our halls. I remembered an old anecdote about a band turning a heckler's request into a weapon, and an idea began to bloom. My plan was meticulous. First, I invested in a top-of-the-line digital audio workstation and a professional-grade sound sampler. This wasn't cheap for a nonprofit cultural center like ours. It cost us nearly $1,500, money that could have gone to so many other worthy causes. But I saw it as an investment in our collective sanity and the integrity of our events. Then came the art itself, a 15-minute audio track. It began with an exaggerated, almost theatrical sigh, followed by a sequence of dramatic whoosh and thump sound effects, mimicking the invisible actions of a truly terrible mime. Every minute or so, a synthesized, slightly whiny voice would interject, asking, "Is this mediocre mime?" The whole thing was designed to be deeply uncomfortable, subtly mocking, and excruciatingly long. I set the trap for our next major event, a lecture on pre-Columbian civilizations, a topic far removed from any form of performance art. The hall was packed. I gave my opening remarks, and the guest speaker began their fascinating presentation. We were about 15 minutes in, a quiet, contemplative moment when it happened. Felix, from his usual spot in the third row, cleared his throat and bellowed, "When's the marathon of mediocre mime?" His customary chuckle followed, but this time, it was met with a different silence. I walked calmly to the podium, a smile slowly spreading across my face. "What was that, Felix?" I asked, feigning profound interest, my voice carrying clearly through the mic. "Did you say, when's the marathon of mediocre mime?" The audience stirred, some muttering, others exchanging confused glances. "Well, Felix," I continued, my smile widening, "it seems your wish is our command." I walked over to the sound booth, where my assistant in on the plan had the sampler ready. I looked at Felix directly, who was now beaming, puffed up with pride, thinking he'd won. "Ladies and gentlemen, Felix Rivers has requested a special presentation for us tonight. So, without further ado, I give you the Marathon of Mediocre Mime." With a flourish, I pressed the button. The hall filled with the dramatic sighs, the phantom whoosh, the muffled thumps, and that irritating synthesized voice asking, "Is this mediocre mime?" At first, a few titters of confusion rippled through the crowd. My assistant and I, meanwhile, walked to a small table we'd discreetly set up backstage, just visible. We sat down, pulled out newspapers, and began to read intently, occasionally glancing up with an exaggerated, appreciative nod towards the speaker system. As the minutes dragged on, the laughter died. An uncomfortable silence descended, punctuated only by the absurd mime soundscape. People started looking at Felix. His smug expression dissolved into confusion, then annoyance, then outright horror as he realized the joke was entirely on him. After 5 agonizing minutes, a few people started to cough. After 10, whispers turned into agitated murmurs. After 15, a woman near Felix stood up and yelled, "Turn it off, this is ridiculous." I paused my reading, looked up with feigned innocence, and approached the mic again. "Oh my, you don't want to listen to the marathon of mediocre mime anymore." A chorus of no erupted. "But what about Felix? He asked for it quite insistently for years." And that was it. The entire audience turned on him. "That guy sucks," someone yelled. "Shut Felix," another shouted. Boos rained down upon him like a biblical plague. Felix was a broken man. He tried to slink out, but the path was blocked by angry patrons. He was publicly shamed, utterly humiliated, and vilified by the very community he thought he was entertaining. News of Mime Felix spread like wildfire. People avoided him, his usual coffee shop wouldn't serve him, and even his friends started making subtle mime gestures when he walked by. He couldn't show his face at any public event without drawing stares and whispers. Within 6 months, unable to bear the social ostracization, Felix Rivers sold his house and moved clear across the state, never to be heard from again. The Ashwood Cultural Center flourished, finally free of his disruptive presence, and our patrons once again enjoyed events in peace. The silence in our hall now is truly golden, a testament to what happens when you mistake rudeness for wit. He got exactly what he deserved, and I wouldn't change a single moment of it.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.